Hey, you guys. Are you ready? I know I'm super late. Story of my life. But I've got another murder story for you guys. I don't know how many of you remember. There was back in, I think it was like 1983, Mother of the Year. She was like something everybody was interested in and one of a kind. And every child in the world was like, I wish this mother was not mine. Yes, that's right. She was a mother from H-E-L double hockey sticks. H-E-L double hockey sticks. Anyways, so let's do it. You know what I'm talking about? Diane friggin' Mom Psycho Downs. So, real quick before we get started, buckle up, Buttercups. Thanks for checking it out. We've got story time with Auntie Kookoo, K-O-O, K-O-O. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's do it. So, many of you guys probably remember, and if you don't, let me tell you about Diane Downs. She was born in like 1955 in Arizona, whatever. Her life grew up in high school, met a man named Stephen Downs. Became, high school sweethearts. They separated a little bit, came back together, got married. Had two beautiful children, Christy and Cheryl. And then Stephen Downs was like, I don't want any more kids, and had a vasectomy. Well, apparently Diane Downs was like, I ain't done having kids. So she had an affair and got pregnant. And that's how their son, Danny, came about. Obviously, in 1980, Stephen was like, I'm out like trout, and divorced Diane. Can you imagine? He had a vasectomy. She had a baby from someone else. Of course, he's out like friggin' trout. So anyways, come to find out, from the investigation and stuff that I've done, Diane Downs apparently just loved being pregnant. Not only, did she have that affair to have another baby, but also she was like a surrogate for people. It's in the 80s. Like, that's crazy, right? So she apparently, from everything I see, loved being pregnant, loved the attention, loved, like the glow and people oohing and awing and helping her. But once the children were born, she was like disengaged, not interested, la-di-da-di-da. So like I said, her and her husband got divorced in 1980. She had volunteered to be a surrogate and stuff. And then she started working at a post office. When she was working at this post office, she met a man, right? That's how it always starts. What up, Andrew? Hey, Justin. But so she meets this man and ends up, bow, chicka, wow, wow. That's what happens. You know what I mean? We're on Facebook Live, so I got to watch what I say. So how else can I describe it other than bow, chicka, wow, wow? That's what happened between these two coworkers. We'll come to find out the man that she's bow, chicka, wow, wow with is married. Big surprise. So this affair is going on, and Diane is like, I want you all for myself. What can I do to make you mine? Come to find out, he's like, not only one, am I married, but two, you got a lot of baggage. And I'm not talking about, let's go check out a Gator game in Gainesville this weekend. You're bringing too many suitcases. I mean, you got kids that I don't want to friggin' raise. I'm not even sure I want to have kids, and I sure as heck don't want to raise your children. That's pretty much what he said. So Diane was devastated, and she was like, all right, I'll show him. I'm moving to Springfield, Oregon, thinking this man was going to follow her. Well, let me tell you. Can you guess? Right? He jumped in his car and was like, oh, I'm leaving my family all of a sudden and following you to Oregon. Hell no, that's not what happened. He didn't come. So now she's living in Springfield, Oregon with her 3 children. Baggage. I mean, you guys know I love kids, so it breaks my heart to like refer to them as baggage. Like, really? Anyways, with her 3 kids, baggage. And during the next 2 years, sends repeated letters to her boyfriend who's married about how much she loves him and being obsessed, so on and so forth. Continues to send these letters. And then all of a sudden one day, it like dawns on her. Like, I wish I could do the flashing light bulb. I have the idea, the solution. I figured it out. If I can get rid of the baggage, then he'll be mine. Again, remember, the baggage is 3 beautiful, young, innocent children we're talking about. But yeah, that's her plan. She's like, if I could get rid of these 3, it's on like Donkey Kong. He'll be with me. So she puts the plan in friggin' motion. Let's take a minute. I know. So, May 19th, 1983, Diane Downs loads her 3 beautiful, innocent, very young children. I want to make sure I tell you guys correctly. Cheryl is 7 years old. Christy is 8 years old. And little Danny is 3 years old. She loads them into the car and decides to take them on a scenic road trip on the outskirts of town in an isolated area. She has a coworker who lives on a horse farm and whatnot, so she takes her 3 beautiful, innocent, gorgeous children to this horse farm. Shows up, bang, bang, bang on the door, and the coworker's like, "Oh, Diane, kids, hey, these people have never been here before." It's not like it's a regular thing for Diane to drive out here. But obviously, this coworker's like, "Oh, of course you guys can come hang out and check out the horses and stuff." So Diane brings her kids to hang out with the horses. This coworker is a little surprised because this was not a planned visit, and Diane's never been there before, but they enjoyed the day. Now the farm horse good day adventure is over. Let's move on with the plan, right? So they leave the horse farm. On their way back, Diane drives on a road, I believe it's called Old Mohawk Road, I think it is. She pulls over, she gets out of her car. It's later at night now, it's in the evening, and she's got her daughter in the front seat and the 2 kids in the back seat. She gets out of her car, walks around her trunk, pops that bad boy open. I think it's like a red Escort or something. It was something that kind of stuck out at the at the time. But anyways, gets the gun out, walks around back to the front seat, opens the door where her daughter, Cheryl, is sitting in the passenger seat, leans on that seat, and pretty much point blank shoots her friggin' daughter. Well, her daughter obviously panics and is trying to scramble to get out of the car. Well, she's like on the floorboard and trying to get out. She shoots her a second time. She then turns around and shoots her 3-year-old son, Danny, in the back, and then shoots her other daughter, Christy, twice. One time, Christy was trying to, like, block it. It went through her thumb and, like, blew her hand out and into her chest. So that happened, right? Like, so now Cheryl's in the front seat, shot twice. Not in the front seat, on the floorboard of the car, and, like, literally bleeding out, dying. We've got 3-year-old Danny who's been shot in the back. A 3-year-old, right? Like, you can't lose much blood when you're only this friggin' big before you're dead. And then we've got Christy who's been shot twice, and same thing. She's like 7, 8 years old. Well, Diane wants to go through their plan, so she's like, well, I gotta look like I'm injured too. So she pulls a gun and, like, shoots herself in the arm and, like, the fleshy part, but happened to have a bandage with her, ready and available, so she could bandage herself up. So she jumps. Well, I shouldn't say jump, because let's be honest, when you guys hear the rest of the story, you're not going to think she jumped anywhere. She sauntered to the car, started it up, and started to drive 6 miles it was to the closest hospital. 6 miles. She drove 10 miles per hour. She drove so slow that on this 1-lane road, cars were behind her honking and getting upset. It wasn't until later that they realized how it was connected. But that's how slow she was driving as she was watching and waiting for her children to die. Cheryl died on the floorboard of her mother's front seat. Finally, 30 minutes after their shooting and 6 miles up the road, she pulls into the hospital, and Danny and Christy are, like, clinging to life. So they go into the hospital, and the children get treated. And after treatment and everything else, you know, they're talking to Diane, who, again, she gets treated as well because she's got that small, you know, shooting in her arm. Minor injuries. Come to find out, Danny is going to survive, the 3-year-old, thank God, but he's paralyzed from the chest down. Cheryl is dead, unfortunately. God rest her soul. I mean, I couldn't even imagine. I don't even know what to say to that. You know, like, what do you say? God rest her soul, sweetheart. And then Christy, who had been shot twice, she had lost so much blood that she actually suffered a stroke and was unable to speak. But she was still alive. So, I want to make sure I'm at the right spot. Give me a second. I've done this all off head so far, but I don't want to forget anything. When you're talking about something like this, you don't want to forget the important stuff. Like later on, I'm like, oh shoot, because you guys know I do my stuff live. I don't edit it. It is what it is. What comes out, comes out. So give me a second. Make sure I didn't forget anything. So, at the okay, so that's where we're at. So, like I said, this all happens. Like I said, finds out Christy, she had the stroke. The police obviously are asking Diane now, once she's treated for her small injury in her arm, you know, what happened? What's going on? And this is when she tells them what happened. What happened? She's like, I was at my friend's house enjoying the horses with my 3 beautiful children. When we were driving home on Old Mohawk Road, there was this bushy-haired man who jumped in the road and was flagging me down. This is late at night, single mom, three young children in her car, flagging me down. So I pulled over and stopped. And he ripped the door open, pulled me out, and he shot me. And then after he shot me, he leaned in the car and he shot all 3 of my children. She's like, but when he had pulled me out, I had the keys in my hand. So after he was done shooting my children and he was looking at me, I faked him out. I had the keys in my hand and I pretended to throw them. You know, I did one of those. And when he looked, I jumped in my car and I drove like a mad woman to the hospital. Hold up. Hey. We know that's a lie because we got people who followed your ASS and you're driving 10 miles an hour. But let's not even say that yet, right? So she tells them that. And the police are like, sounded a little bit funny. Like I said, she went and visited her daughter. She walks in the room. Her heart raced. She'd already been through a stroke. The child was not able to talk. But just from her mother walking in the room, even though this child is laying there and unable to speak or move, her heart rate had escalated through the roof and literally had a look of terror on her face. So while this investigation is going on, the police decide it's probably best for us to take these 2 surviving children into our custody while we continue investigating this, right? Like, common sense, let's do that. So they do this. While they're doing the investigation, police obviously look at Diane's car. As they're looking at that, and I want to remind you guys, as many of you know, my degree's in criminology, and I love my kids, and, you know, I watch true crime all the time and stuff. We have to remember this is back in the 1980s, way before a lot of the technology and science and CSI stuff that they have now was not available back then. But even though this was, you know, back in the 1980s, they were able to investigate her car and look at the, you know, the shooting trajectory, the blood spatter, the shell casings, everything. And look and see, like, everything contradicted what mom said. Whoever shot the children wasn't leaning into the car. They were actually inside the car. Like I said, there was bullet shell casings. So the police, during the investigation, let her free, you know, because they're not sure. You know, everyone's presumed innocent until proven guilty. They end up doing a search warrant on her home. While doing the search warrant on her home, they found Diane had already memorialized her children's pictures before the whole carjacking story thing had happened, and the police went to her home. She had already started memorializing her children. They also found the exact same matching ammunition to the bullet casings, but they also found her diary. And inside her diary was pages and pages about her love for this man and how the children were the baggage and that, you know, if they weren't there, they could be together. So the diary was huge in that. So obviously they arrest Diane finally. Yeah, I got more surprises for you guys. Are you ready for some more kickers? So they arrest Diane. It is, what is it? 9, I think it's 9, I know it's, you know, birth, 9 months, right? But it's actually 9 months after the crime that she's arrested. And while she's sitting there in custody and the lawyer's discussing for her, he mentions that Diane's pregnant again. Yeah, she's pregnant again. And the lawyer, claims that putting her in custody while we're waiting for all this would be detrimental to her health. Listen, not having her in custody while she has an innocent child in her is detrimental to any child's health. She needs to be under 24 surveillance. Like, surveillance? Surveillance. You know what I'm saying. Anyways, so, surveillance. But, you know, like, I can't believe that was her claim. Like, oh, being in jail will be detrimental to this child's health. You can't be trusted with any children. Ever. So, needless to say, the trial happens, and the police have all the evidence. Like I was saying before, you know, the ammunition and the gun shell casings, the blood spatter evidence, you know, that whole CSI thing. But to top it off, young, sweet, beautiful, and so strong, young little Christy, her daughter, who had had the stroke and was unable to speak, had recovered and was willing to be the star witness and testify against her mother. Could you imagine? Like, I couldn't even imagine having to go through that. God bless this child. Ugh. But anyway, so she testifies against her mother. The prosecutor at one point asks her, who shot you? Her mom's sitting there, and she sits there and says, my mommy did. And then lays out what happened. Like, devastating. What child would ever have to endure that and then sit there and go through a trial? Like I said, God bless these children, and I pray and hope for them all the time. Silver linings, you know, I always look for them. So let me give you the silver lining on this. God rest Cheryl's soul. She did not make it, and that is absolutely devastating. But the two children that did make it, the prosecutor actually adopted them. And everything I've been able to find, that they grew up and went to school, graduated college, and are doing fantastic. The baby that Diane was pregnant with when she was getting, you know, through trial and stuff, actually ended up being put up for adoption. And everything I've been able to investigate on that and find out, she also is doing very well and is doing great. So that's what I got for you guys. I don't know if I told you guys. So she was sentenced. I got sidetracked on like how the kids are doing and the silver lining. You know me, I'm always looking for the positives. But so Diane was sentenced, or was convicted of guilty of murder, attempted murder. It was sentenced to life plus 50 years. And then it was, oh, and I did say it right, 10 days afterwards she gave birth. I did say it. I got it. We good. Also, she did do some escape attempts, and she like got away. I don't want to get this wrong. It was on July 11th, 1987. She escaped by climbing a fence, gone for a week, and it was literally 10 minutes from the jail that she was staying. And everybody that she interacted with, which obviously she was staying with a couple of dudes, said that they felt like she was trying to get pregnant the entire time she was there before she was caught and rearrested. So, anyways, Diane Downs to this day still proclaims her innocence and how much she loves children and she would never do it. But I don't know. What do you think? You know what I think, obviously. Anyways, thank you guys so much, as usual, for tuning in. I appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, do good things, be kind to one another. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Check out my YouTube channel, Auntie Kookoo. Oh, Storytime with Auntie Kookoo. Kookoo. I forgot the story time before I started. Anyways, peace, love, chicken wings. Thank you guys. Be so nice to one another. Do good things. Be kind. Right? Karma. Love one another. 2021, we're coming at you with kindness, baby. Deuces.